Oh, good morning. We have here today Atong. She is a barrister, and also she is an activist, actively involved in defending human rights. And also, Atong, you have been active with the Tiananmen Vigil over the last few years in Hong Kong, right? And as we know, most of the organizers of the Tiananmen Vigil this year, either they are already serving prison terms or are already detained. Lee Cheuk-yan, Albert Ho, Choi Yu-cheng, and some of the younger activists like Joshua Wong and Lester Shum, right? They are serving prison terms because of their involvement in the last year's Tiananmen Vigil. It's just surreal for me to see so many people get arrested. As a business person, I always think that if there is a Tiananmen Vigil on June 4th and also the July 1st rally, Hong Kong would be relatively safe, because most people think, rallies and then candlelight vigils is for a small crowd, but Hong Kong is quite special. Hong Kong has been unique in the sense that we had all these different rallies just to show the outside world that Hong Kong is still unique and separate from China, so to speak. But with the enactment of the national security law from 10.5 months ago, it seems like there is an extreme makeover of Hong Kong. So that makes the business sector feel quite uncomfortable, to be honest. And some businesses, they are looking into contingency plan to carry on with their businesses. And AmCham, the American Chamber of Commerce, recently did a survey with the SMEs and corporations, and some express grave concerns. They might be leaving Hong Kong like immediately to the very near future, and that's 42%. That's not a small number. So, Atong, you are the vice chairperson of Zilunwei, which organized this massive candlelight vigil every year in Victoria Park. So you're the last person standing, so to speak, right? No, actually kidding. Lots of people still concerned, and also they still have the seal inside to commemorate what happened 32 years ago in Tiananmen, because that's one thing that connects Hong Kongers with the mainland people, right? Mm-hmm. The mainland Chinese and Hong Kong, even though they might have a higher income for the privileged few than Hong Kongers. Hong Kongers, a lot of people are just middle class professionals and the grassroots. So of course, at the very top, you have the princelings and the so-called tycoons, and then their so-called privileged status. It's gradually fading away as well. So I just want to ask you, Atong, today, I think it's only 10 days before the June 4th annual commemoration. So it's having a countdown, but also it seems like the Hong Kong government want to use different means to suppress this event. So what is your take on it?
Well, we are still making the usual application to have Vigil Victoria Park. The government have not actually formally rejected the guests. I mean, the guests among the people, among the society, is that they will probably ban it on COVID grounds. And you also see a lot of media, a lot of pro-establishment figures saying things that while you're going to Victoria Park, you will get disqualified from running for election, you will be violating the NSL even. So there are a lot of like scare tactics going around to frighten people into not doing the vigil this year. So the atmosphere doesn't look good, but there is no. At this moment, if I call for you to go to Victoria Park to have a vigil, it is still legal because they haven't banned it yet. But the guess is that they will probably ban it quite near the time.
Yeah. So this is a scare tactics, and which is quite surreal. If like going to Victoria Park, you could go there for rollerblading, you could go there for jogging, and then walk your dog, and then suddenly next Friday is coming, right? They just set up barricades, just block the whole Victoria Park. Then it looks stupid.
Yeah, we'll see how they do it. Yeah, but it was still a rough way to do it. I mean, Victoria Park is open for everyone to have football. I was there last night, and there are so many people around in the park.
Yeah.
So why can't we just go there and light candle? How is that against the law?
Yeah.
But that's what they really want to stop this year by having all this middle person going around saying things and publishing things on the pro-establishment papers.
Now, you are a barrister by training, and I know like you study physics when you went to Cambridge.
Yeah.
Right. So that was your first degree, and then you did your law degree in Hong Kong, and you are practicing law right now. And to me, a lot of Hong Kong business people and people in finance, they think the rule of law is not intact anymore because of the abrupt changes, the extreme makeover over the last 10.5 months. Because when the NSL, the National Security Law, was enacted, it didn't go through like consultation with Hong Kong people.
Yeah.
I still remember last year around this time, mid-May, there's a member of the NPCSE and also legal background, Chen Man-kei. And then she was hinting there would be an NSL of sorts coming at a time. And by the end of June 30th, 11 p.m., it became effective. And of course, the current CE, the Chief Executive Carrie Lam, talked about the NSL would affect a very small group of people. Now, the whole Democratic camp, either they are being detained or are facing charges or are in exile. So I'm a little bit worried as a business person myself that whether the so-called one country, two systems is still intact, or is it just exists by name only?
I don't think anyone can say this is still intact in the sense that it's been fundamentally changed from what you envisaged in back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, the NSL is not just one law; it's actually the whole system of national security, management. They have a new structure, new institutions out in Hong Kong. They have a new set of rules, centering around national security, and it's this mentality of putting national security first have been permeated into every sector, education, films, entertainment, wherever. So it's
legal, I think.
Legal, of course, it's a
legal
law.
Profession.
It's a law in name, but I hate to call this a proper law because it's violate everything you understand about what proper law should be. It should be clear, it should be certain, it should be objective. People can look at the law and see, okay, I do this, I will be violating the law. Not for NSL.
Yeah. It's the NSL a law that's above all laws, including the common law. I mean, that's the way I perceive it, because if someone like an NSD police, a new recruit, after I heard that they have to pass some exams to be competent about the NSL. So it could be like just multiple choice quizzes, right? So after they pass the exam and they go and use the NSL to they become knowledgeable, put it this way, so to speak, in the NSL, and then it becomes kind of problematic because it's a new law in Hong Kong, but also makes me think that Hong Kong looks very much like mainland China. And then if a person is indicted with NSO, the chances for him to get out from it, meaning to prove that he is innocent, is almost zero. In China, it's kind of like that. If
in China, it's definitely like that.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong, we
if you're
haven't tested yet.
prosecuted, right? Yeah. So we haven't had one case.
Yeah, we haven't the test yet,
Yeah,
so we still
yeah,
do not know really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something along the pipeline because I think over 50 some people are charged under NSO or more.
More. Actually over 100 already.
Over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. So waiting for court trial date.
Yeah.
Well, which could be a long process because they are at the detention center in Lai Chi Kok, right? So they would detain.
They are now everywhere. Some of them are in Stanley, some of them are in Lantau.
Yeah.
The Hong Kong prison system simply can't cope with so many prosecutions right now.
Right. So back to the June 4th vigil. How can people still commemorate it? Now, I have my own method of commemoration. I talk about it on air quite a bit. Some of you who know me from before, you know that I was a little bit overweight. I was like an 81 kg at one point in time. And for me to commemorate July 1st and then June 4th, it's very simple. For June 4th, which is next Friday, because of my age and my height, ideally I should weigh 64 kg under perfect condition. So by June 4th, if I have 71 kg, I'll be very satisfied. By July 1st, even though if I cannot achieve like 64 kg as my ideal weight, I still strive for 64 kg. You know, that's a humorous way of putting myself in my fight, right? So having some sort of a goal. But realistically, I will find my way to commemorate June 4th in some shape or form, just like what I did last year, and the year before, and the year before. So this has been 32 years of history to a lot of people. I know people in Vancouver and also Toronto, they have some groups that still commemorate what happened in Tiananmen because they can still express themselves freely, and it's a democratic country in Canada. But in Hong Kong, it's quite different now. Yeah, so whatever Zilum does, it's there's a lot of challenge.
Yeah. But I don't think we should draw the red line too tightly ourselves. At the moment, the government have never said that commemorating June 4th is illegal. I don't think they dare say that. They cannot say that you are wrong in saying that a massacre happened on June 4th. We can still talk about that. They cannot say that you're unlawful for, say, lighting a candle on the streets. That's not in any sense an assembly or any illegal, unlawful riot. They cannot say that. So there are still ways to commemorate June 4th. And for us, the Alliance, we are less creative than you are. We are still calling people to light a candle at 8 p.m. on June 4th. That's the tradition that has been for 32 years. And we are calling on everyone to continue the tradition wherever you are. When we used to have the tradition in Victoria Park, this year we envisage it may be difficult to go in there. If people can still go in, of course they can. And if they cannot, they can do it anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, for those who are like 45 and up, you can think of my idea. That's just one silly idea to commemorate. And I have a more serious idea, which I won't share with you publicly. You can always contact me. You know my contact. I can be easily contacted in some shape or form. But seriously, like for people in business and also for anyone and for humanity as well, you know, to me, the June 4th, it's a date for commemoration for humanity, not just Hong Kong people or people from mainland, because it makes us feel about, like we have to uphold freedoms, and freedoms is very important, and freedom of speech and freedom of expression, something that in totalitarian regime countries, they don't have the privilege to do it freely. So that's why June 4th becomes something that I think people can take action in some shape or form, whatever that means. Anything you want to add to people from your generation? I know you were born just a few years before June 4th, so you still have maybe some not vivid memory, but you hear from probably your folks about what really happened on that particular day 32 years ago, right?
Yeah. I think Tiananmen is actually quite important for my generation, because for us, we grew up in Hong Kong in a relatively safe and calm environment.
Right.
And Tiananmen is really the awakening call.
Yes.
For us, like happy children growing up in Hong Kong, that something is wrong out there in the society, in the world. And as for many of us, I think it's a starting point of becoming more politically aware and to participate in social movement. Yeah. So it always have a very special place for me, myself, and actually for the movement in Hong Kong as well, I think. Not just, the vigil after all this year, after 32 years, is not just important for the victim in 89. It's actually important for Hong Kong itself as the most visible, long-lasting sign of our resistance and of our activism, of who we are as a group of people, as Hong Kong people, what values we treasure, what sort of value we stand for. June 4th symbolize all that. And that's why we think it's really important to defend that candlelight on June the 4th.
And some people make comparisons about what happened on June 4th back 32 years ago to the Fight for Freedoms movement in 2019 in Hong Kong. There are some similarities as well, right? Like freedom of expression and freedom of speech and freedom, like press freedom even. And of course, the whole thing started with the extradition bill that finally got retracted. But then again, I hope people will find their way to commemorate. And as far as I know, no one says that Victoria Park is closed for business, so to speak, right? People can still go to Vic Park every day. Sometimes I do go to Vic Park just to jog, and as you alluded to earlier, but I pick up a sport which is good for me, which is calisthenics, which is like street workout, and you just use your body weight to train up your muscles. And as I say, my funny way to commemorate, it's I want to keep my weight, always striving for 64 kg after I turn 50, and then if I have 71 kg, I'll be happy. Now I'm at 74, so I could achieve that by June 4th, which is next Friday. And then I really want to have this perpetual strive for 64 kg before each July 1st. So that is my my personal fight. But of course, there is a bigger fight, which is a fight for humanity, fight for freedom, fight for free speech. And then I hope Hong Kong and China will be great again.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.